Hello, this is Christine Deal. Welcome to the course. This is the Practicum component of your community health. Katie Roberts and I are your instructors for this summer session. So I'm just going to do a little introduction of the course and go through the tabs and navigate this a little bit to make it a little easier. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact Katie or I. Okay, so here we have some information here. This is where you can find, there's a Blackboard orientation. Make sure you read the syllabus really well. The syllabus is right here. We'll just click on that real quick. Okay. Alrighty, so here's my information, my contact information. Katie will have hers posted shortly. She might have it in a different section here. But here are some, like the required text would be your Savage, Koob, and Groves book, okay, which you will refer to especially when you're doing your community health, your community assessment project. Okay, so this is this is the course description. So this is application of the theoretical foundations that you had in NU 440. Okay. And there as it relates to the standards of professional practice. Okay, and so here are the intended learning outcomes for you to read through. And the methods of instruction, it's experiential learning, online modules, role modeling, and reflective journaling. Okay, and we'll get to the journals coming up in the assignment section. Okay, so method of grading, this is a pass-fail course, but you do have to have all the components turned in to pass the class regardless of how many points you have. Okay. So we have an online orientation requirement located on the course Blackboard page. Okay, and then do your introduction in the discussion board, and that has some points to it, and is also a good way for us to track attendance and also needed for financial aid. Okay, and so you have journal entries that are due for there are two components to this course. We've got your clinical practicum component, which you do with a nurse in a community health setting, and then we have the service learning component, which you can do anything that will satisfy those hours. They're 18 hours. It could be volunteering at a homeless shelter, soup kitchen, volunteering for 4-H, PTA, things that improve the community, okay, for that community involvement. And here's some information on that service learning, okay. It's gaining you a meaningful hands-on service to the community while gaining valuable knowledge and skills that integrate with the course objectives, okay. So that's 18 hours, and all of the activities should be documented in the journal. Okay, and then again, 32 hours of practicum time with a nurse or a nurse practitioner, either one. Okay. You must have the preceptor fill out an agreement form and upload that and your agreed upon schedule onto Blackboard before your first practicum day. And we'll go through the paperwork for that. But yes, you have to go through the packet with her, or she or he, and have them sign it, and you sign it, and then come up with a schedule and then submit it, so that way we know the dates you are in your practicum setting, so we know when to follow up, because 32 hours basically is only 4 days, and so if we don't know, then we don't have the time to follow up and keep track of that. There is a disaster preparedness module that's 6 hours. Okay, I believe that's worth 50 points, and so that is located on the course Blackboard page. And then your community assessment project, you will spend 26 hours on a project roughly. You can work together in groups or alone, and you'll do an assessment of a community, either geographic or non-geographic. And so the project will culminate in the design of an intervention to target a need identified during the assessment. And so we'll talk about some specific guidelines for that. But I also do have a recorded lecture that gives some guidance on the rubric and what's expected on that project. It's due at the end of the course. But be working on it well ahead of time so you don't find yourself rushed. And so there is like I said, a recorded lecture on the rubric. There's also a recorded lecture on an example of a project, so you understand the phases that take place in implementing a project. Okay. Oh, and then pass fail. Okay. And then here's some information to read through. I already mentioned that you have to have all the components turned in, regardless of how many points you have to pass the course. And then again, I want to point out, actually, maybe I haven't pointed this out yet, but please, please, right here, important to check announcements frequently, at least once a day, as this is a primary means of providing information to the group. So it's your responsibility to check announcements for updated information. Okay, and also there may be some opportunities for service learning that we want you to take advantage of, and so it's important to read that. We will post that as we become aware of those. Okay. Okay, and so we've got, there are 3 reading assignments in the course. The syllabus and corresponding chapters from the textbook is indicated on the course Blackboard page. So basically it would be reviewing the chapters related to assessment and program implementing. Okay, so we have, oh, I need to change these dates. Oops, okay, pardon me. Okay, so we have the course opens on May 20th. And oh wait, no, I don't need to change the dates. Okay, so for some reason, sorry, it just seemed kind of early. But the homework and due date for the syllabus quiz will be on May 23rd. Also the discussion, introduction discussion, okay. So we got the syllabus quiz due on the 23rd and the introduction discussion again so we can do roll. Okay, your service learning journal and your community partnership journal will all be due July 30th, okay, just a couple days before the class ends or a few days before, so we have time to read it and grade it and give feedback on it. Your community assessment is going to be in 3 parts. There's a windshield survey that's going to be due coming up pretty soon here on June 14th. And then your survey tool, that your list of questions that you're going to ask to the targeted community, due a week later on June 21st. And then again, your completed project will be due July 26th, so we have time to grade it. Disaster preparedness module is due July 14th. Your practicum assessment tool, all the paperwork completion, that would be your evaluations from your preceptors, will all be due July 29th. Okay, so make sure that, and those all need to be submitted to you. They can email me, but submit to you so you can upload to Blackboard so it's on our course. Okay, so let's go to another section here. All right, so and then, oh, here's some benchmarks. And it's kind of just a recap of what's in the syllabus. So right here, just this is kind of nice to have like beside you. So we've got the syllabus quiz on Blackboard due May 23rd, then here are these other due dates, and then deadline dates here, okay, for a quick review. Okay, course documents. Okay, again, the benchmarks with due dates, ANA standards of practice for your review. Here's a community guide, online resource for community health nurses that might be helpful in completing assignments. APA format resources, because we do expect your assignments to be written in a scholarly fashion, which includes citing sources and then a reference page. So here are your grading rubrics. Oh, I need to add them, okay? So that's where they will be, and you really only have a grading rubric for your community assessment. Okay, so let's go back to course introduction. Let's see if there's anything else I need to go over. Nope, okay. So let's go to course content. There we go. Okay, so St. Luke's form for student account, you do need, if you're a St. Luke's employee, you do need to do your sum totals, and you need to get an LCSC student badge, and you need to complete your modules as a student. Okay, and you must use an LCSC, your LCSC student badge, and an LCSC given badge for the hospital. And you will pick that up at security, and you really need to wear that. And so that's also in your preceptor packet, so your preceptor knows that you need to have the LCSC 2 badges identifying that you are a student and a student at the hospital. Okay, you cannot wear your work badge while you're doing your practicum hours. Okay. There's an orientation video here. Clinical partnership, this folder contains information on that. And so there you go. Here's the agency journal information. Oh, okay. Let me just get out of that. Let me go back into course content. Okay. Clinical partnerships, go back into there. Complete a facilitator evaluation. This would be, I believe, where you upload those. So here's your preceptor packet information. Okay, forms for clinical partnership. You need to, that's what I was talking about earlier. Okay, so this is what you must fill out. The name of the agency, your name and number, the preceptor's name, their contact information, then just some general questions that they need to fill out. This is for tracking forms for accreditation purposes. And then your responsibilities here, read through very, very carefully, please. Right here it says student must have student ID badge before starting clinical rotation. Okay. And compliant with Castle Branch if you're not a St. Luke's employee. But everything else needs to be current as well. Okay, and so then there are some responsibilities, and then you sign it and your preceptor signs it. And then you fill out some agreed upon dates, knowing that this might change. If it changes, just contact Katie or I, whoever your instructor is going to be, and let us know of any changes in hours. Okay. And then here is your assessment tool. This is what your preceptor fills out. So here are your course competencies. So review those with your preceptor so they understand what you're supposed to be getting out of the course. So it's up to you to present this packet to them and go over that with them. And then they fill this out at the end, and then place for comments, and then they need to sign and date it. Okay, so that's a very important piece. Okay, so let's go back to course content. And community assessment, let's go into there. Okay, so here's information on your community assessment project. So here, see, like chapter 4 is the textbook on the assessment. There's a PowerPoint slideshow on chapter 4. I've uploaded these. So here's the objectives here, and the unit activities description here. So here is the example that I recorded, okay, for a project that's going on here in the Magic Valley. And then here is the rubric PowerPoint, and here is a rubric recording, clarification of the rubric components. So you're very clear on what is specified or what is required in each component of the rubric. So here's Chapter 4 Assessment PowerPoint, Chapter 4 Community Project Guidance Recording. Very good. And then here's just another additional one on the assessment. Then I did Chapter 5 for Program Planning, and then there's also a recording for that. Okay. So you may choose to work in groups for your assessment project. Okay, you can have up to 4 students, but let me know early on so I know who's in what group. Okay. Documents and templates for the community assessment project. Okay, so here's the map. Okay, so for your review there. Overview of community assessment project. Okay, and so here it's just kind of an basically just like a timeline. Okay, to help you do it in a step-by-step fashion. Okay, so I'll let y'all just navigate that. Okay. All right, very good. And then here's the disaster preparedness folder. Okay, and then there's an online module that it will take you there. Now you must upload something. If you can't get the certificate, you need to upload something that has your name on it that says that you have completed it. Okay, so it's very important. If you do a screenshot, make sure that it has your login on there. Okay. And then this is where you upload your certificate of completion. Okay, and then assignments. Okay, so there's the preceptor packet there. certificate of completion, submit your windshield survey there when it's due, your draft of survey, get the survey questions to your specified community, and then your project here, and then your journals here. Okay? And then your completed preceptor packet uploaded, so it all will be uploaded to Blackboard. So you upload all those under the assignment tab. Okay? And there's a discussion forum for y'all to use if y'all want to communicate and talk to one another. And there is not an exam for this course. And there you have it. Okay, so that's just a brief introduction. Of course, we're going to be posting announcements frequently, so make sure that you read those, and please let Katie or I know if you have any questions. Okay, we're looking forward to this summer. It's going to be quick. Let us know early on when and where you want to do your practicum hours, because we might not have a contract with where you want to go. So that takes time to get. So we need to start on that right away. So please don't delay on that. If you're a St. Luke's employee, then you need to do your practicum hours at a St. Luke's clinic, whether it's home health or a diabetes clinic or cardiopulmonary rehab, a hospice. So just let us know as soon as possible where your interests are, and we look forward to working with you. Thank you.